so you could have an understanding how to put together and take apart your recurve bow. String, bowstring or string. There's a spring in there. And on each bow, you can see there is this piece, which is called the limb bolt. Greetings, archers. Coach Yale here. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It is a lovely rainy day here at the range, and I wanted to make this video for you so you could have an understanding how to put together and take apart your recurve bow. And so there is a way to string and unstring your bow in the field if you don't have a stringer, and I could show you that at the end of the video. However, the safest, best way for your equipment is to use a bowstring. Bowstringers come in different shapes and sizes and designs, actually. However, the basic makeup, there's going to be a side with a little pocket, and here's this little pocket, and there's a side with a grippy piece to hold the bow, because what we're doing is we're taking the pressure off of the limbs to attach and unattach the bowstring. And so this is how a bowstringer works. We take the pocket side and we put it on the bottom limb. Then we take the rubbery side, the stopper side, and we put it on the upper part of the limb. Here is the limb, and this bow is strung, and we're going to be right here down at the lower part of the limb. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to step back here so you can see me. And as you can see, before I move back, here's the bowstring, here's the bowstringer string, and it's down here like this. String, bowstringer string. We're going to step on the bowstringer string. I recommend 2 feet so you have a nice sturdy stance. And then by the upper limb, we're gonna pull up on the bow. And this stretches and bends the limbs. And that gives us the ability to take the loop off of the bow and set it back down. Just like that. And now with a traditional style bow, once you take the string off, you're done. These Olympic style bows, if you're taking it apart, pops off. However, I'll save putting your bow together. Actually, since we're right here, Olympic style bows, since we're here already, they have what's called an ILF limb. That's called International Limb Fitting. And you see there's this little groove, it's a dovetail, and there's a little button here. There's a spring in there. And on each bow, you can see there is this piece, which is called the limb bolt. And that's what this piece slides into. And then this fitting down here is made for this springy piece at the bottom to slide right in. And it looks just like this. You just align everything and click it right into place, okay? On both sides. And the limbs are usually marked, top and bottom, and that does matter. Okay, so now let's talk about stringing the bow once you have it unstrung. I wanted to bring to your attention that any well-made bowstring, there's going to be 2 size loops. One is a bigger loop, one is a smaller loop on purpose. The larger size loop is always going to go on the upper limb, so you can slide it down the limb just a little bit like this. Here's the limb tip. You slide the loop up here, and then we attach the little loop to the bottom limb, set it in place, and now we're going to take the pouch part and slide it over the limb tip, just like that. And then we turn the bow around. Here's the rubbery piece, and we put it on the limb just like this. I like holding it as close to the tip as possible, just like that. And now, same thing. Here's the unstrung bowstring hanging on, bowstringer string. That's the lower one. And so we're gonna step on the bowstringer string, and we're gonna stand up, put some pressure, stretching the limb. And don't worry about overstretching, because we're normally drawing the bow all the way back. And so we raise the bow up as much as we need to attach the bowstring. Ta-da! Stringing and unstringing your bowstring. Once you have your bow strung, you always want to check to make sure that the string is in the center. There's usually a little groove in the center of the limb. You want to make sure it's aligned, top and bottom. Very nice, excellent. And then you also want to give it a couple of plucks to make sure the limbs are seated properly. That is the way you string and unstring your bow. Traditional bow, Olympic recurve bow, same. And as promised, there is a way to string and unstring your bow in the field. It's not recommended because it could affect the limb balance and it could warp the limbs. Look, in a jam, if the zombies are coming and you need to string your bow real fast. Okay, and so I'm a right-handed archer. This is a right-handed bow. I'm gonna stick my left leg through the bow, like so. And we wrap the hook of the recurve around the right leg. And that lets us use our left leg as a fulcrum to then bend the limb and you could take the string off. So in a jam, okay, zombies approaching. However, if not, I highly recommend getting a bowstringer. I love this one, $16 on Amazon. I do believe we have a link over here if you want to pick one up. This way, you're more prepared if you buy a new piece of equipment, a new bow, and you want to know how to put it together because it is common. You get a bow and you're like, how do I string this thing? So hopefully this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the range.